دمعة الفكر تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري، فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير، تحلق في ثقافات وتنهل من ربى الخير. ترى ما زلت تذكرها وتذكر روعة
علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان، والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان، وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان، والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام، والحب ذو العصف والريحان، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار، وخلق الجان من مارج من نار، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. رب المشرقين ورب المغربين، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا، لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يرسل عليكما شواظ من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. فإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يعرف المجرمون بسيماهم فيؤخذ بالنواصي والأقدام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ولمن خاف مقام ربي جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ذواتا أفنان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان تجريان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما من كل فاكهة زوجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على فرش بطائنها من استبرق وجنى الجنتين دان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن قاصرات الطرف لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كأنهن الياقوت والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ومن دونهما جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مدهامتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان نضاختان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن خيرات حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان حور مقصورات في الخيام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على رفرف خضر وعبقري حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان تبارك اسم ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام صدق الله العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jumah Barak to all. Shukran, Hafiz Ali. Shaykh Alexander has got a prior commitment today, so I'll be introducing our speaker. Our speaker don't need an introduction for us Cape Townians and South Africans, but I thought for those people that might be watching on social media, he stems from South Africa, Freiburg. He studied at Al-Azhar University in Egypt. He's got a law degree, University of Durban. He also served as the Imam at Masjid al-Quds, as well as a stint within the United States of America in various roles over there. He's returned back to South Africa and now the CEO of Islamia College, Sheikh Sadullah Khan. Assalamu alaikum.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وطبيبنا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه المنتجبين وعلى جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر أن الفلك تجري في البحر بنعمة الله ليريكم من آياته إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور وإذا غشيهم موج كالظلل دعوا الله مخلصين له الدين فلما نجاهم إلى البر فمنهم مقتصد وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا كل ختار كفور صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, all praise is due to our Creator, our Cherisher, our Nourisher, and our Sustainer. We bear witness there's none worthy of worship but Allah. We bear witness, we believe in all the prophets who came in the great line of divine, and we bear witness that Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, is the final of all the emissaries of Allah. Respected ulama and huffaz, elders, brothers and sisters, respected youth, I greet you with the Islamic universal greeting of peace. May the peace, the mercy and the blessings of Allah be upon each and every one here at this auspicious hour of Jum'ah, in this magnificent house of Allah, in this most beautiful city in the world. I say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. The last time I presented a khutbah at this beautiful masjid was 15 months ago. And my talk at that time was about the consequence of the fourth industrial revolution. It was the first week of the school year last year. And my topic was, the future is here, where are we? 400 days has passed since then, and look at what has happened. So much has transpired, and believe me, how much the world has changed. And I ask the question, who would have thought we would be where we are? Who would have thought we would be where we are? The world has been gripped in a global COVID-19 pandemic, a world that seems unusual, uncertain. And after all, we are in an unpredictable lockdown for an unusually unspecified period of time. And this coronavirus has infected 121 million people all over the world and has thus far caused 2,700,000 deaths worldwide. A virus that cannot be seen by the human eye, and yet it is known and sensed and felt by every person in every country, and there's no field of human activity anywhere in the world that was not impacted by this COVID-19 virus and pandemic. The Imam of this masjid, my brother Shaykh Abdul Rahman Alexander, together with many of our friends, Shaykh, my dear brother, Shaykh Muhammad Murad of Mio Street Masjid, were hospitalized. My beloved and respected Shaykh Siraj Hendricks succumbed to the pandemic. May Allah grant all those who have passed on, may Allah grant them Jannah. Those who have been ill, may Allah grant them full recovery. And those of us who are here, may Allah grant all of us, inshallah, protection from this pandemic. Allahumma hafadna min sayyil asqam. The virus is not only changing the way we live, but also the way we deal with life and the way we deal with death. We could not visit the sick in hospitals, could not even attend funerals of those who have passed on. Many people had to grieve alone and experience sadness in solitude, isolated from friends and family, without the physical comfort of near ones and dear ones around them. Who would have thought the scale of the unprecedented pandemic would be of such a magnitude that it would force us to readjust our perception of reality itself, reconsider how we socialize and if we socialize, whether we travel or not, how we pray and when we pray in congregation. And the impact of the pandemic, I believe, may have reshaped human society and human operation permanently. Who would have thought that we would be where we are? We are brought to face with the most basic questions of life. What are we here for? What have we done with our lives? What do we intend to do with the time that we have left, if given the opportunity? Tomorrow may or may not come. If it comes, we may or may not be there. Who is truly important in our lives? What are the things that we truly, really cherish in our lives? This pandemic indeed has led us to some very painful insights and reality checks. But at the same time, not a point of departure, but just moving from the pandemic, and I'll come back to it. Another point of reflection that evokes similar concerns. Monday is a public holiday in South Africa, a holiday which emanates from a historic incident dating back to our struggle against apartheid, when people were protesting against the racist past laws, and the past laws for the young people who may not know, not that I'm old by the way, but the requirement for people who are so-called black to carry a working document during the daytime wherever they went, and if they were found in areas where they were not supposed to be, they could be arrested. So in the townships of Sharpeville and Soweto and other parts of the country, on the 21st of March 1960, people protested these past laws, and 69 people on that day was killed. 180 were injured, and subsequently it was known as the Sharpeville Massacre, sometimes referred to as Heroes Day, and has eventually been declared an international day for the elimination of racial discrimination by the United Nations, and it's considered as Human Rights Day nationally in South Africa. It is our collective duty as Muslims to perpetuate the mission of the noble prophets who came before us, those models of excellence who came throughout history as beacons of light, teachers of nations, liberators of humanity. And among the primary mission of these prophets, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in Surah Hadid, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلُنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانِ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. They came among the primary missions was to establish justice for humanity, لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ, so that humanity may live with justice. Who would have thought that 51 years after the martyrdom of Imam Abdullah Harun al-Shaheed, 61 years after Robert Sobukwe marched against the repulsive past laws in Soweto, Who would have thought that politically, economically, that we would be where we are today? Unfortunately, here we are, held captive by a reality in South Africa that suffers from a crime pandemic, overwhelmed by rampant corruption, undermining the very roots of the struggle, undermining the blood of those who shed their blood in the struggle. Where are we? We have an incredibly weak, inefficient government. Many of our political leaders have betrayed the solemn commitment to build a free and fair society in a post-apartheid South Africa, to meet the needs of the poor, to alleviate the suffering of the needy and the disadvantaged. More than 2.5 decades after the first democratic elections, we are still living in the most unequal country in the world. Remember, we as people of faith are always people of conscience. And it's our responsibility to reflect that mission of prophets of liyaqub an-nas bil-qist, to manifest justice. So reflecting on where we are in relation to our progress as freedom-loving people, a people who fought a noble and brave struggle against the injustices of apartheid and racial discrimination, at the same time reflecting on the pandemic and how it has changed the world. We are now in March 2021, and we ponder, who would have thought we would be where we are? Focusing on the pandemic, the experience of the past 15 months seems like we are living in the end of times, like almost Qiyamah is here. Sickness all around us and news of death is a daily reality. The question then becomes, what do we do now and in which direction do we head? Though we are all in lockdown fatigue, it is important not to be neglectful of ourselves, but at the same time not to become over self-absorbed in ourselves. So I want us to focus on 3 points among the many that we can focus upon. One, first, be realistic about the situation. Recognize the fact, for God's sake, that we are in a pandemic and that we need to take a precaution, that we abide by the advice that emanates from the consensus of medical professionals. There are still people oblivious of the reality of where we are. 2.5 million, 2,700,000 deaths in the world. Many people still deny the reality of the pandemic. There are those, you see, who make things happen. There are those who watch things happen. Besides those who wonder what happened after it happened. And of course, there are those who never knew it happened. Then, incredibly, a new category of people who deny what is happening while it is happening. That is why I suppose the Prophet made a daily dua, Allahumma arini al-ashya'a kama hi. Oh Allah, show me things as they really are, not the way you want to see them. Engage reality. Do not be oblivious of reality. Stop tweeting conspiracy theories, passing information from unverified and unreliable sources, because it causes confusion and spreads misinformation, disinforming people who eventually are unable to distinguish fact from fiction, which could have a disastrous effect on their lives, on their health. You can't just tweet something. And the funny part is, the crazier it seems, the more people tweet it. Something good happens, somebody gives a 10,000 donation, nobody hears about it. Somebody may have stolen some money, everybody hears about it. Why this character assassination and things in this? I don't know. Why the negative news always comes out? Why don't you tweet the good stuff? It's a sickness. That is why the Prophet ﷺ, hadith documented in the Sahih of Imam Muslim, he said, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ كَذِبًا أَن يُحَدِّثَ بِكُلِّ مَا سَمِعَ. Sufficient is the sign of your unreliability. Sufficient is the sign that you could be a liar if you repeat everything you receive. إِن جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ. Before you get something, check the source of information. And then too, if it's true, is it necessary to pass it on? The second point, besides acknowledging the reality and taking precaution, which we ought to take, the ulama grant guidelines within the Sharia about what we should do if you are told to do certain things, but the advice of medical experts of wearing a mask, social distancing, which by the way the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, many of the things about covering your face when you sneeze, don't go to a place that's pandemic, these are all from the ahadith of Rasulullah. But we are in unprecedented times. Be aware of the reality. Haqqul Haya, the right to life, is among the fundamental rights of human beings, all human beings, believers or otherwise. And it's not a matter of I do what I want to do. If I don't pray, it's my thing, it doesn't affect you. If I want to make salah, it's me, I'm answerable. But if I don't take precaution, I can kill you, I could make you sick. And with this pandemic where people are maybe, you cannot pick up if they may be asymptomatic. I may have it and say, well, I've got no fever, nothing, and I can give it to you. It's unusual times, people. And those who are experts in that field, they are the ulama in that field. You take the advice of the person who knows about that. Unless they give open injunctions contrary to the fundamentals of our faith, then you evaluate that in relation to what the faith says. So therefore, be awakened to the reality of the pandemic. You can't be 15 months into a pandemic, not a South African pandemic or Western Cape, a global pandemic for God's sake, and you're still denying it. There's something seriously wrong, mentally wrong with us, if we think like that. We can speak about conspiracy theory, are they making money from the vaccines, and all of that. We can ask those questions. But to doubt the entire pandemic, it's borders on craziness. Secondly, in times of distress and difficulties, we feel we are helplessly drowning in the ocean of challenges and difficulties. And that's why the verse of the Quran in Surah Luqman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alam tara anna al-fulka tajri fil bahri bi ni'matillah liyuriyakum min ayati. Allah says, do you not see the ships that sail smoothly when things are going well? Like last year when I spoke at that time, things are going okay, no pandemic. Ships sail smoothly on the ocean by the grace of Allah, so that you may come to be aware of the signs of the Almighty. Surely in these there are signs for those who are patient and who are grateful. Look at the words, Sabbar and Shakur. Gratitude and patient perseverance. Then the verse goes on, وَإِذَا غَشِيَ مَوْجٌ كَالظُّلَلِ دَعَوُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. It says, and as soon as there's an overwhelming wave like mountains, then people cry out to Allah in sincere devotion. But when He delivers them to safety, they become forgetful. Some may become grateful, but others may even reject the signs of Allah, because this is a mark of deceitfulness and ingratitude. It is in these trying times that we tend, when we are in this drowning ocean seemingly, to call upon the Almighty through supplication, through dua, more than at any other time in our lives. And call upon Allah we should. Because dua is a way, or a believer's way of connecting with Allah. Connecting with Allah at any time, in any place, day or night. Raising hands in supplication, asking for divine help. And throughout the Quran we are exhorted. Ud'u rabbakum. Numerous verses, different terminology. Call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah encourages the believer to call upon Him. And the act of dua in itself is of extraordinary significance. As the Rasul said, ad-du'a muqul ibadah. The dua is the essence of worship. And the hadith, he said, لَيْسَ شَيْءٌ أَكْرَمُ عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنَ الدُّعَى. There's nothing more nobler in the estimation of Allah that you call upon Him through dua. Because dua has the potential for magnifying hope. So never underestimate the power of dua, the power of prayer, and especially in trying times. And at the same time, in calling upon Allah, never disconnect from the divine reality. Allama Iqbal says, मैं दवा के तलाश में था दुआ को छोड़कर, मैं चल न सका दुनिया में खताओं को छोड़कर, हैरान हो मैं अपने हसरतों पर इकबाल, हर चीज खुदा से मांग ले लेकिन खुदा को छोड़कर. He says, I was searching for medication while ignoring supplication. I was looking for medicine, which is no problem in that, but I was searching for medication but not calling upon Allah. I was searching for medication. Dawa ke talash mein raha, dua ko chhod kar. I was searching for medication while ignoring supplication. I could not move on earth without committing violations. I'm amazed, I'm troubled at my regretful attitude that I have. Oh Iqbal, I consistently demand everything from God while continuously ignoring Him. I consistently demand everything from Allah, but while I continuously ignore Him. Considering the global pandemic, the one that we are in, the power of prayer, the power of dua can become a source of motivation. It can become a source of motivation because who would have ever thought we would be where we are? And these are simple things, friends, family, dua, that we took for granted, that we realize it has a central place in our lives. We conclude by reflecting on who would have ever thought that our world would change so instantly, so dramatically, so drastically. But have we given a thought to what we should be thinking about? Have we given a thought to what we should be thinking about? Apart from feeling afraid and unsure and uncertain and anxious, have we thought of being more realistic regarding our goals in life? Have we checked our relationship with ourselves, with our Creator, with our loved ones, with those near and dear to us? Have we thought about being more sensible in our perspective and more pragmatic in our approaches and our relationships? Have we thought about making ourselves more understanding, more open-minded, more tolerant, more inclusive, more loving? Have we thought about re-examining our priorities in life? Have we thought about reassessing our concepts of success? What are we chasing for? You see, someone said, when you ask Allah for patience and help and forgiveness, don't ask Allah for power, because Eskom will cut it off. But we are living in these trying times. But the power of dua, it makes us re-examine our priorities in life. Reassessing our concept of what is success. Re-evaluating our paths to happiness. Have we thought about the things we took for granted? How many people haven't we seen have passed on? How many more people will pass on before we bother to phone them and inquire about them and to reconnect with them? We are physically distancing, but we are socially connected. And we have no excuse. We can connect with anyone, anywhere, at any time, immediately, instantaneously. There's absolutely no excuse. We are physically distancing, but socially connected. We're not socially disconnected. Have we thought about what we took for granted? The freedom to move around, being able to visit family, to play with friends, attending a class, praying in congregation at will, like how you wish, hugging one another. We have to be grateful for these little things. And as the verse says, Sabbarin Shakur, patiently persevering and grateful. Because man lam yashkuril qaleel, lam yashkuril kathir. If you're not grateful for the small things, you will not appreciate the larger things. We have to be grateful for the little things, so that we may appreciate the big things. Otherwise, we may end up not valuing anything and then learn nothing from the experience that we have gone through. Much can be done if there is a willingness to do so. If we know where we want to go, but we need to know where we are and how we got here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us, guide us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cleanse our hearts. Allahumma tahhir qulubana wa afkarana wa aqwalana wa a'malana. Allah, cleanse our hearts, our thoughts, our words, our deeds, our feelings. Min al-riya'i wal-fasadi wal-nifaqi wa su'il akhlaq. From doing things to show people. From hypocrisy. From bad character. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from bad intention. May Allah save us. Allah mahfadna min sayl asqam. Allah protect us from the pandemic, from the horrors of the pandemic. Allah mahfadna min kulli bala'i dunya wa adhab al-akhirah. Allah protect us from all the trials and tribulations of this world and of the akhirah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who have passed on, may Allah grant them Jannah. Allah maghfir lahu وارحمه وروحه في الجنة. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Shukran, Sheikh Sadullah. Thought-provoking talk. Let it not only reach our minds but our hearts as well, and reflect on it as well. Two announcements. One of the good news stories we have is that we've got our normal Akni back today. It's on sale on the library side, 60 rand upon it. The proceeds goes to the masjid and the madrasa. And number two is we've got a request to make dua for Shaima Bandika and Nadeem Bandika, who's not too well. We ask the Imam to make dua that Allah grants him a full shifa, inshallah. Ameen. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين. رب اختم لنا بالخير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: ألم تر أن الفلك تجري في البحر بنعمة الله ليريكم من آياته إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور. وإذا غشيهم موج كالظلل دعوا الله مخلصين له الدين فلما نجاهم إلى البر فمنهم مقتصد وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا كل ختار كفور. صدق الله العلي العظيم. وقال النبي حبيبنا المصطفى صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى أهل بيته وأصحابه: عجبا لأمر المؤمن إن أمره كله خير، إن أصابته سراء شكر فكان خير له، وإن أصابته ضراء صبر فكان خير له. وقال صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: ليس شيء أكرم على الله من الدعاء، أو كما قال: صدقت يا رسول الله. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
اللهم صل وسلم وزد وتعلم وتفضل وبارك بجلالك وكمالك على زين عبادك وأشرف عبادك سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وصحبه وسلم ورضي الله تبارك وتعالى عن كل الصحابة أجمعين.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهد الله فلا مضل له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ورسولنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا وسيدنا وسندنا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى في شأن حبيبه: يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. فقال الله تعالى مخبرا وآمرا قولا كريما: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. اللهم احفظنا من سيء الأسقام، اللهم احفظنا من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة، فالله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا يا أكرم الأكرمين. اللهم اغفر لجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات، ارفع لهم الدرجات وكفر عنهم السيئات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون، ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا استووا. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى، وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى، ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى، ووجدك ضالا فهدى، ووجدك عائلا فأغنى. فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر، وأما السائل فلا تنهر، وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله العظيم، استغفر الله العظيم، استغفر الله العظيم التواب الرحيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم، ونتوب إليك ونسألك التوبة والمغفرة والهداية الذي التواب الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام وإليك يعود السلام، فحينا ربنا بالسلام وادخلنا الجنة برحمتك دارك دار السلام. تباركت ربنا وتعاليت وتعظمت وتكرمت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
تذكر يوما كنت تعانق دمعة الفكر، تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري، فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير، تحلق في ثقافات وتنهل من ربى الخير، ترى ما زلت تذكر